mile away. So here's a look at her Earl, which was just upgraded from a tropical storm earlier. It could be the first major hurricane of the season, but absolutely no impact to us. So what can you plan on? Actually, another cold front coming in on Sunday. It comes through on a totally dry note, and we could be close to triple digits with 98 on Sunday. We'll be right back. Our stormy stretch is just about over. I've got one more rain chance in your forecast before that drier trend kicks in. Why the rain tomorrow? Well, there's going to be a cold front pushing through. Cold in quotes, just so you know. A 30% rain chance, and after that we go dry, which will include the UT-Alabama game. Looking hot and dry. Outside right now, we're in the 80s, 85 degrees. Our high today made it to 96. Average high this time of year is 94, so it looks as though we're looking at another week of above average temperatures and below average precip after tomorrow. Radar right now is pretty quiet. We saw a couple of lonely showers, mainly out in the hill country. You can see one or two, one just west of Joppa, but for the most part, it'll be a pretty quiet night ahead. Meantime, cold front right now is stalled to our north. It pushes in tomorrow, shifts our winds to the north, and brings in that chance of rain. Right now, I'm anticipating quiet conditions through the overnight. Waking up tomorrow morning at the school bus stop, no issues. But look around about midday from the hill country, maybe northwest Travis, could see some isolated storms pop up. Maybe some of them bringing quick, heavy downpours and dangerous lightning. So for that reason, right around the time we're reaching that high temperature, 96, between about 2 and 4 will be the peak time in Austin of seeing a shower or storm break out. After that, we could see some additional activity, mainly to our south, perhaps San Marcos, maybe out to our east as well toward the latter half of the afternoon, and then into the evening, everything. Hello. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great Tuesday on a short week, right? As we look ahead to the next 7 days, what? 2 cold fronts? Yes, 2 cold fronts. I'm actually pretty excited. They're not really going to be legit cooler temperatures, but they are likely to bring us a nice, like slightly less humid air mass, if you will. So at least that's something fun to look forward to. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm just going to double check and make sure that the feed is indeed live and doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm not sure if it is. That's a good question. Double checking. I wonder if maybe it needs to be authorized again, because as of yet, it may not be actually working. Interesting. It shows that it is, but I'm not finding it on my phone. So we're just gonna, there we are. It does show it's live, but it's not showing. Oh, there it is. Okay, it took me a half second. It does show it's live. Lo and behold, we are live. Hope you guys are doing well. Anyway, so basically we've got 1 day of rain chances, and that would be Wednesday. Basically in the afternoon to evening hours, I'm saying a 30% chance. It could be more like a 20% chance. Either way, at least there's one more possibility of getting some much needed rainfall. After that, we really kind of have a very quiet stretch. Slightly lower humidity Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then another front coming through on a dry note late Sunday, and behind it, not exactly refreshing, but better in terms of the humidity levels. We should see the dew points drop down into the, let's say, low 60s by Monday and Tuesday of next week. Jesse Hernandez, hello. Thank you so much for checking in tonight. All right, so let's go through and talk about some of the other finer points, which are the last rain chance is upon us. It's been a very wet stretch, and now we're starting to see things shift to a drier trend. In case you're wondering, we are sitting at only a 1/10 of an inch of rain officially for Camp Mabry. Charles, Chris, what's going on? The airport has only had 4/100ths of an inch. That said, there are other parts of the CBS Austin area that have seen multiple inches of rain during the same period. So overall, it has been a wet stretch, but not everyone has seen the same amount of rain, if you will. Temperature on this Tuesday made it up to 96 at Camp Mabry, 93 at the airport. By the way, 103 back in 2019, just 3 short years ago, that was the record. Last week's drought report, I should say, instead of this week, last week, the most recent one was issued on Thursday of last week, but there was some noticeable improvement as of the drought monitor in terms of where we had seen some spots jump as much as 2 categories in improvement in the drought. So rain helping that, Rain not helping this. Check out the mold spore count, 50,000 plus. I was kind of curious, so I sent an email over to Dr. Amar up at Allergy and Asthma Center of Georgetown and said, what's the record for mold? I don't recall seeing a 50,000 count. And she said she's only probably in recollection had a couple of times when it has been that high. So this is pretty much as bad as it gets if you are a mold allergy sufferer. And also, not to be left out, the fall elm count at 164, it is in the high range. Beth, hello. Mike, what's going on? Good evening to you. And Bill, thanks for checking in. Going well. Gonna try and get out of here at a decent hour, you know, like I never do. Lake levels have really seen a nice little jump. We are unfortunately only at 57% combined, but that's up. It had been 56% combined. And when you think about how massive Lake Travis and Lake Buchanan are, that's actually a sizable amount. So a pretty decent shift in terms of the amount of water that hasn't been evaporating. You know, we were on track during June and July. We were losing as much as a foot a week due to evaporation just with those triple digit temperatures in portions of August as well at Lake Travis. Well, lo and behold, I double checked, and Lake Travis so far in the last 30 days has only dropped a half a foot. So markedly improved. Still looking like for the next week, we'll see generally level conditions at both Lake Travis and Lake Buchanan, but because we're going into a hotter, drier stretch, the evaporation is going to take over again and we may start to see some more decline. So at least it looks like we'll see for the next week or so relatively stable lake levels. All right, I did mention that one more chance of rain. I'll walk you through the latest high-resolution computer models, but in a nutshell, if you've got outdoor plans, Wednesday, mainly in the afternoon, is basically the only time that you'll have to dodge a shower or a storm. Renee, what's going on? Bob, alive. He's alive. Hanson, how are you? And Leanne, what's going on? All right, temperature-wise, 83 right now, made it to a high of 96 degrees earlier in the day on Tuesday. And currently radar is pretty quiet. I will say there are some very tiny showers out toward Mason County. You got to look hard for them. And also just to the north of Lampasas, you can see one little stray shower. Just to the north of Llano County, a couple stray showers near San Saba and also near Mason. But overall, it's not very impressive out there currently. However, there's a front, a cold front, that is stalled currently to our north, roughly right along I-20. Through the day on Wednesday, we're going to watch that front as it drops southward. And as it drops southward, it will likely bring on some isolated to widely scattered showers and storms. So look for winds to shift to the north. Temperatures will be hot ahead of that boundary, so probably still in the mid-90s, and then possibility of seeing some showers and or storms fill in. Here's the latest high-res computer model. You can see out near Mason County, can't rule out just some very spotty activity through the overnight. Most areas are dry. Waking up tomorrow morning, kids off at the bus stop, looking totally dry and quiet, but then we'll just wait for that boundary to our north to move in. And it's possible we may kind of see an outflow boundary ahead of the front itself, push through first. That's basically what we saw on Saturday, for instance, and what tried to happen today, which is where there's a gust front that shifts your winds and you get that big shelf cloud, super photogenic one on Saturday, and then behind it we'll start to see some showers and storms. How much shower and storm activity still yet to be seen, but there may be some spots. For instance, this latest high-res computer model is pretty sparse, not showing very many areas getting rain, but those that do, look at this, could see some pretty heavy rain. So is it going to be specifically over Northwest Travis County? Probably not, but it gives you an idea that there will be some activity that tries to pop up roughly after lunchtime, generally in that ballpark. And then we could see some additional showers and isolated storms kind of pop up through the heat of the afternoon as that wind shift moves in. And then eventually as we make our way toward Wednesday evening, then the shower activity will shift to our south, as will the front itself. So here's your hour-by-hour forecast. 70s in the morning, 90s in the afternoon, increasing rain chances peaking at only about 30%, which means a 70% chance that it's totally dry where you are. Chris says, bring on the cold weather. By the way, out west, they are dealing with crazy heat. Sacramento was at I know it was at least 114. It may have been 115. Let's see. Just incredible. 116. official downtown. Like, it's insane how hot it has been out west for sure. All right, so here's a look at the afternoon, 1:30, and then 3:30, and then finally about 5:30 or so. So the vast majority of areas probably stay dry, but some areas will get a heavy downpour, some brief lightning, and maybe a brief interruption to the day, but at the same time, just that one last chance of some much needed rainfall before we go back into that drier pattern. So there you have it. Wednesday's done, and so too is the rain. So how much rain are we talking about? Depends on where you are. This, again, is one high-res computer model just representing, the latest and greatest. And as you can see, Northwest Travis County is a big bullseye there in blue, and the blue corresponds to anywhere between about a half an inch to an inch. So maybe some locally heavy spots, while other areas don't get a single drop. And don't get hung up on exact placement, but just kind of in general know that some areas will see rain, others will not, and that's going to be it for the rest of the week. Off on your left, the GFS computer model is much more bullish on rain, giving some areas like Bastrop almost an inch. On the other hand, the European computer model says, nah, not so much, only 100th or 2 expected. And of course, once we get through the period that will encompass your Wednesday, then we stay dry pretty much for the foreseeable future thereafter. So not looking very promising for much rainfall. I'm going to go ahead and then go back, and I think that should populate the map. Let's see if I can make it go back one more time. Make it so. There you go. Okay, so here you go. You can see, in general, the Weather Prediction Center is saying, meh, to much rain. Maybe a few spots in Milam County picking up more than a quarter of an inch. And this is over the next week, which will be predominantly on Wednesday. Lisa, hi, how are you? Thanks for checking in. The question about the drop of humidity. Yes, we should see, Renee, dew points that'll be close to 70 tomorrow. And then the front pushes through, dew points should drop into the 60s. But still sticky, just not as bad. But then next week, Monday and Tuesday behind our Sunday night cold front, those dew points might be as low 60s, which will feel quite a bit better. But to be really comfortable, you want to have dew points in the 50s. And that's like that fall crisp air. We're not there yet. But at least it'll feel less humid and less sticky behind each of these subsequent fronts. All right, in the tropics, things are looking pretty impressive. We've got Danielle, a Category 1 hurricane. Earl just became a hurricane earlier in the evening. 2 other disturbances, one right near Africa, 20% chance, another one just west of it, 60% development chance. The next named storm is Fiona. On the Pacific side, we have Kay, which is the only game in town, nothing else expected to develop. At one point last week, it looked like Kay could come right inland into Mexico, maybe into West Texas, and bring us some heavy rain. Nope, that's no longer the case. Instead, Kay is going to likely parallel Mexico, the Baja California Peninsula, and could bring some much needed drought relief to areas of the southwest United States. All right, so let's talk first about Hurricane Danielle. Hurricane Danielle is a Category 1 hurricane in the middle of the North Atlantic and really not bothering anyone and basically making a little loop-de-loop as it circles through the North Atlantic. And incidentally enough, by the time we reach Sunday, it may be pushing its way toward, Portugal. By that point, it will probably be a post-tropical low or some other shadow of itself, no longer at hurricane status. But interesting, this thing's going to be making its way toward Europe. So that's Danielle. Now let's check in on Earl. Earl did skirt very close to, just north of the Puerto Rico area, but it's well out in the middle of the Atlantic right now. It should bypass Bermuda, tracking just east of it, but this also could become our first major hurricane of the 2022 Atlantic season. And note that by the time we reach Sunday, this too looks like it's going to be in the North Atlantic, possibly on a beeline if it holds together. We'll have to wait and see. All the way to Europe again, if it does. So neither one of those systems is going to touch us at all. Then let's take a look at Hurricane Kay. Kay is currently south of Mexico and is expected to track roughly parallel to the Baja Peninsula, which means the majority of the rain is going to be wrapped up and in along areas of Arizona, maybe into portions of Nevada that desperately need it. Places like Lake Powell and Lake Mead could certainly use a drink. There's even estimates that places that hardly get rain in Southern California, San Diego, LA, for instance, might actually pick up a half an inch or even 3/4 of an inch of rain. And think about how much of the let me go to the full camera here. Think about how much of the western United States right now is absolutely just sizzling with the heavy rain right now, or with not with the heavy rain, with the ridiculous high temperatures right now. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out out west. Will it be enough to make a dent in their drought, which has been so bad? Will it ease the heat? So all of those things would be fantastic if they materialize. All right, let's see. Bob says the front basically nothing but drier air. Yeah. Well, in terms of temperatures, it won't do anything, but I'm sure hoping that at least it'll feel somewhat less humid, which would be certainly a nice thing. So we've got Glenn and Renee and Bob. Say sure beats 98%. So true, so true. By the way, the last time we had a triple-digit temperature was August 20th. Kind of been a nice little stretch, don't you think? And also, I should lastly leave you with the fact that if you're going to the UT Bama game, 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday, looks dry, looks hot, looks mostly sunny. Make sure you have the sunscreen. Temperature probably at kickoff, I'm thinking maybe around 87 or so. And then by the time we reach the afternoon, after the game, probably reaching about 96 degrees. So it will be toasty. It won't be record territory, but it will certainly be on the hot side. And with that, we are done. I'm going to get home, try and get a good night's sleep. Hope you do as well. As always, you can check in on cbsaustin.com and also check the forecast in the morning with Avery Tomasco, bright and early, before the sun comes up, actually, at 4:30 a.m. I still, to this date, don't think I've actually caught the 4:30 a.m. newscast. I've seen some of the other ones, but 4:30, that's just a little too much for me. All right, have a great one. I'll talk to you later.